welcome to Extra Life. I'm Keza Macdonald.
And I'm Ellie Gibson.
And today our guest is Tony Way. Hello, Tony.
Hello there, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've got a very young baby, so I don't know what's what anymore.
Yeah,
I'll be perfectly honest.
Super fun having a super young baby during lockdown as well, eh?
I mean, literally, she's the age of lockdown. She was born on the 30th of March, so she's first week of lockdown, I think she was born, so yeah, weird.
And is she your first baby, Tony?
And only.
And
this is it. I thought that, Tony. I thought that. I was wrong.
No, she's genuinely delightful, but at the moment, I don't know how you could even do two.
Yeah.
I can barely do one.
And are you enjoying fatherhood so far?
It's good. I think it's not exactly the way it is normally, because we're both here all of the time. So it's great, really. Just we haven't got any money anymore. There's just no work.
That's the same. That's the same whether or not there's a pandemic when you have your first child, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's true.
Don't worry, it definitely gets easier when they can walk and talk and ask you for things, doesn't it?
Yeah, and go down the mines. Yeah, bring home some money. So for the listener, Tony, do you mind introducing yourself and what you do?
Not that I need any introduction.
Not that you need, of course
I am a comedy writer, actor, mostly actor these days, and gamer, which is handy for this podcast. What do you want to say? Any shows I've been in, that sort of thing? I mean, the list is long.
Pick three.
Most recently, Afterlife, Ricky Gervais's Netflix sitcom, and Game of Thrones, stuff like that, and the excellent Agendum for Radio 4. So it's a great show.
I'm afraid I've only dabbled in Game of Thrones when my husband watched it, so I've not seen all of it. Did you meet a grisly end in Game of Thrones, Tony?
Like everyone, yeah. And it was a good death. That's what you hope for when you're in that show. You either survive and you become the king, or you have a really good death. And I had a good memorable one.
Oh, what was yours?
I helped kill... If you don't know Game of Thrones, this isn't going to make no sense, but I imagine there's the Venn diagram of computer games and Game of Thrones. There's a big crossover there.
Basically
so
a circle,
people will know. I helped kill Joffrey, escaped with Sansa, got on a pirate ship, and then got gold thrown at me, and then I got shot in the face with an arrow and just left to drift off to sea.
That's a busy day, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've packed a lot in there, Tony. Busy day.
So obviously with lockdown, a lot of people have been playing more video games, but you've got a tiny baby, so I'm guessing that might not be the case for you the last 7 months or so.
Seriously, it would have been me, 7 months. I'd have my own Twitch stream and everything by now, playing some random game. But no, I've been looking after a baby instead, or sleeping when I'm not looking after the baby. So I've not really had a chance. I've literally on my shelf have got The Last of Us 2 still in its wrapping, just waiting.
Still in the plastic.
It's only a few months old, you know. Give it 3 years, and then you can start feeling bad about that one.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, is it what you expect? Because I don't know if you remember this, Keza, but I remember meeting up with you when you were pregnant with your first child. And you telling me, do you remember this?
Yep,
that you're going to have all this time on your hands when you have maternity leave. So you were going to learn Mandarin.
I was, yeah. I thought I'll pick up Chinese. Why not? I literally said those words. They came out of my mouth. And the way you looked at me, I was like, oh, it turns out that was a dumb thing to say.
I don't think I said anything because I was trying to be a good
you
friend.
were very good. You suppressed the, not the mirth on your face, but certainly... You didn't let it come out of your mouth. So
I'm told mainly by my husband that my face often betrays my inner thoughts, even when I think it's...
my mother used to say I had an honest face.
It's a very polite way of saying resting bee-face.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So you've not been learning Mandarin then, Tony? You've just been looking at you.
I mean, so it was going to be during the pregnancy and maternity.
Yeah, I decided that because babies don't really do much and they sleep all the time, you know? I'd just be able to pick up some... I did find that I played an awful lot of video games when my first son was born because I took the night shifts. So I was up all night. And so I just have the baby... Because my baby was one of those babies who just didn't sleep unless he was on me or on someone. So he wasn't in the crib for literally the first 4 months of his life. So I just stayed up all night playing games. And the thing is, because I was so completely exhausted, hormonal, etc., I don't remember a damn thing about Final Fantasy 15...
I was going to ask which game it was.
It was that. It was that and Stardew Valley, and I played both of them for like 70 or 80 hours each minimum, and I don't remember a single thing about those games. I lost them. They've gone in the memory hole.
Have you always been a gamer, Tony?
Yeah, pretty much. I suppose it started... Well, we didn't have a lot of money. It's not going to be a sob story, but we didn't have loads of money growing up. So we weren't a family that had all the latest games machines. So it was quite exciting when my dad would come back from a boot sale, or I would, and we'd have picked something up for a £5, one of those weird consoles that came out in the late 70s. And they would last about a day and then they would blow up. So we would have like a Spectrum for a week and then it would explode. Or we'd have like I think we went through about 10 Atari 2600s that we just sort of found in sort of jumble sales and things. But I think the first one we had properly was a Binatone TV Master.
Yeah,
which was the Pong machine, basically.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. That was the first one, and I'm not a jumble set, but I bought it. Yeah, no, I bought it at Church Fate. Is it? Am I right? Is the one where you twisted? It didn't have.
It's like a knob rather than a joystick. Yeah,
it's like to recreate the thrilling sensation of opening a bottle of Evian. It was like that, just over and over and over and over
again.
Turning
up an old stereo.
Yeah.
Here's a brand new idea from the United States which can turn your television set into a game that two can play. All you have to do is, first of all, to switch it off, unplug the aerial, plug in the electronic game simulator, switch on the set again, and now who's for tennis? Because that's what we're going to play.
And I remember plugging it in and getting it to work on the telly, and then my dad was absolutely furious because I managed to detune the television from actually broadcasting television, which he was quite upset about.
You can have television or Pong.
Yeah.
I think also it was quite... It sold itself... I mean, it only claimed to have 4 games, the first one, and I think it was tennis, doubles tennis or squash... or doubles squash, which isn't 4 games, is it? That's one game. Let's be honest.
Really,
just one of them going slightly the other way. But it was like magic seeing that on the telly. There was something you could control on the telly. I'm making it sound like I'm 1,000 years old. I'm not, but it was. And it's not. I was a bit old for that, really. Like I was born a bit late, but we weren't exactly computer minded in our house for a while.
What's the first game you remember having a proper impression on you?
I was obsessed. It's not a good game particularly. With Double Dragon.
Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Now,
did you play that, Keza?
I did.
One of the many computers we got that came and went was a Commodore 64. It didn't last very long, but we did play Double Dragon on it. Very soon after that, there's a story behind this as well. We got an Amiga 500 very early on. So we went from having not really a computer in the house to like the most up-to-date one you could get, and it wasn't even out in this country.
Yeah, wasn't the Amiga like the BMW of home computers?
It was insane, and it was because
if
it was
you
a bloke
played it,
that
it
worked
made
for
you a
my dad.
wanker.
My dad was a painter and decorator who was a young lad. I don't know what the polite way to say it. He was excitable, and he wasn't very bright. But he was lovely. He loved computers, but he wanted to sell it and buy fishing equipment. So my dad said, "We haven't got a home computer. I'll buy it." So I remember going with my dad to this bloke's flat, and we were sat in the car outside, and a computer appeared from the sky on a rope from the 4th floor, and we were like, "What?" And my dad went, "I think he's burgling someone." This isn't his flat, but it turns out it was his. But he was still, because he was so young. If his mum had found out, because he'd spent thousands on this thing. If his mum had found out that he was selling it, she would have killed him. So we bought it off of him, and apparently he bought fishing equipment.
So he had to lower it,
the proceeds
on a rope.
And then, as a side note to that, he sold the fishing equipment and bought a car, and then 1 week later crashed the car. So he went from Amiga owner to nothing in the space of a month.
A proper riches to rags story, a classic one.
I say let's get him on here. He sounds brilliant. I want to meet this dude.
And we always had a lot of technical stuff. We'd go into computer game shops when they were still sort of quite technical, especially if you had an Amiga, and they'd go, "Oh, this is the American version. You need extra things to make all of these games work." So it was always like everything I buy in my life, slightly not quite the right one.
Just a bit suboptimal.
Yeah. I remember not having a Casio calculator at school and having a Sharp one, and like the teachers had no idea what to do. It's always been a bit like that in my family, slightly off brand.
So did you partake in any of the text adventure games that were the thing in the early computer age?
I think I came a bit later. There was a game called Mind Shadow. It was a text adventure, but with some pictures. And that was an Amiga game. And I remember loving it and not really knowing what the hell I was doing.
What was it about? What was the premise?
The Mind Shadow bit of it was that you were like all good computer games, you've lost your memory and you wake up somewhere. I think in this case, from memory, it was a desert island.
You're on a beach with a marvelous and intriguing view of the ocean. You see a hut to the north. You see a shell. Get shell. Whoops.
And you have a shell in your inventory and nothing else.
Looked shell. It is a colorful shell. Examine shell. It's going to say the same thing. I for inventory. You have a shell.
And then you sort of have to find out why you're there, what's happened to you. It was genuinely, you'd lose yourself in the game. And you were literally just going, go north, go south.
Take thing, open thing.
Open.
It's amazing what the imagination will fill in, isn't it?
It was a little bit more advanced than your literal text adventure. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Look, mate, I don't think anybody in the history of time has ever actually completed a text adventure.
Can I be honest? I've actually completed, despite being a professional video game journalist for 2 decades, I've actually completed very few video games. Like, you'd be surprised how few I've actually played to completion, to be honest.
But also, define complete, because you can complete the story and then there's all that other stuff. Like,
oh, no, that definitely doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count.
Absolutely not. No. I've never finished a game if you have to, 100% it.
No, do you know what? I've got 100, because on Donkey Kong Country on the SNES...
Goes up to 100.
101%. I've got 101% on that, mate.
Do you have completed a video game then?
Yeah, no, I have completed some. I've completed that. I completed Aladdin, also on the SNES. That was the first game I ever completed. I have done most of the Tomb Raiders. Mm-hmm. Then it starts to get woolly. And I used to complete the games I had to do for work. Like, if I had to review Dante's Inferno or Alan Wake, I completed those. Which is probably why I gave them such low scores, because I hated them by the end of it. Really, really hated it. Are you a completist, Tony?
I always start off thinking that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
The thing about the games I sort of got into more the sort of sandboxy, go where you like games, GTA clones, it's quite hard to really complete those. If they're any good, it is anyway. Like, you can't complete Fallout, can you? Can you?
It's like a full-time job to complete Fallout.
How many games have you completed, Keza, honestly?
As a teen, I would pick basically one game and then play that for 4 billion hours.
Right.
And that's because I would have 3 games a year. So up until I started doing this for a job, I completed every game that I played, basically. And then since then, not so many. Yes. I like to play games these days that are, indie games that are 4 or 5 hours long, because then I can definitely finish them. And other than that, I find it really hard. And apart from anything else, it takes a lot. If a game's 30 hours long or more, it's got to be really, really, really good. Like, if a TV series is 30 hours long, you're probably going to stop at season 1 if it's not all that great, aren't you? You're not going to just go, oh, well, I'd better finish this TV series I'm not particularly enjoying. So.
She said to the man who's in Game of Thrones.
I did watch all of Game of Thrones. Big fan. That is certified good. That is a good TV series.
I think the first one I completed was probably Monkey Island, or concertedly.
Did you manage to complete that with a guide or without a guide?
There was no guide.
Oh,
there was
pre-internet.
On the back of the box, a hint line you could call, which was in America. And we did call it, and it cost a fortune.
More than the game itself.
Yeah.
And was it a recorded voice at the other line?
Or was it long games? Monkey Island 2 was 11 discs.
The Secret of Monkey Island, a game so big only the Sega's CD could hold it. A graphic adventure game has never been so easy. Using the award-winning SCUM system, walking, talking, taking is as simple as pointing the cursor and pressing a button.
The other thing I remember about Monkey Island 2 was it had a... to stop piracy, because everyone used to just copy those discs.
Ironically, as it's a game about pirates.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they had a weird wheel thing that you'd have to match up symbols for the Amiga and type in every time you played the game. You'd need the disc. Those games, I love those games.
The Monkey Island games, they were the first really good point-and-click adventures, weren't they? They were extremely funny, and all the puzzles were stupid. Like, you had this rubber chicken with a pulley on it, and you'd try and use it to solve every puzzle.
Yes,
eventually
it
worked.
It would come in handy at some point.
Yeah, and all the people you talk to on the island in the first one, they're all kind of these kind of badass pirates, and you're a sort of pathetic wimp of a pirate.
He was just sort of us, our eyes going through it. It was still the reserve of quite nerdy kids, wasn't it, computer gaming? And to have something that was, well, it was still a bit nerdy. It was sort of Americanized Monty Python humour, but it was genuinely funny. I loved it. It would have been as funny to me as watching The Young Ones or something at that point. The bit where you had to match the correct... It was such a simple idea, because it's sort of like that text adventure style thing again, but you had to match the correct insult to defeat each pirate.
Insult sword fighting.
Yeah, and that would take forever. You just had to walk around the map bumping into pirates and kind of insulting them and getting the correct response and using that to go somewhere else. It was brilliant.
Those were your weapons, weren't they? Instead of an actual weapon, then you just have really good zingers. Yeah, you fight like a dairy farmer. How appropriate. You fight like a cow. Do you know, interesting fact, those were written by Orson Welles.
They weren't.
They were.
What were?
Those sword fighting insults.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just
God,
making
he did need
shit
the money
up.
at the end, didn't he?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like one of those facts that you're using to test my gaming knowledge. Next should be like, oh yeah, Super Mario 3. Yeah, it was actually Hitchcock designed the levels in that. Yeah, is that true?
I'm now paranoid that it was H.G. Wells.
Oh, here we go. He's dead.
No, he was
No,
long
he's very dead,
surely.
right? So obviously I mean Orson Welles. Good. That's great content right there.
I couldn't get on with point and click adventure. Oh, just like, I remember I had to review Leisure Suit Larry.
That's not the greatest example of the genre.
It was at the time, though. It was very popular back in the olden
sleazy ass
times.
bullshit.
The Rude games were never great. They always promised so much but delivered so little.
It's because they were all made by idiots.
They were made by...
Just making a sweeping generalisation.
They were made by people for people who want to see digital boobs. And, literally draw... like they're drawn on maths paper. Was it a very strange choice?
Why have you done this?
Why have you made me play this?
Nobody wants this.
Horrible little Hugh Hefner-y guy.
Oh, it was awful.
Walking around making terrible jokes. It was like sub Carry On, wasn't it?
Yeah. Terrible piece of shit. I probably gave it 7 out of 10. I don't know. It was very tired.
No, I want to read that review from the time, and I really hope it just says terrible piece of shit.
Keza, news just in. We've just heard from the production booth, which means Joel's looked at his phone. We've just heard that Orson Welles had actually been dead for 5 years when the first Monkey Island game came out. So, in fact, you were wrong and I was right. You're talking horseshit.
Shit.
Or he really got a head start on writing those zingers and was 5 years before.
Yeah, he was really ahead of his time. Do you know what? It was Orson Scott Card. Just looked it up.
Oh. But I mean,
not H.G. Wells, not
so
Orson
unlikely.
Welles. Orson Scott Card.
What? I mean,
what a complete failure of a fact.
And was the game made in Wells in Somerset? Is that what actually happened? I don't listen.
Well, yeah.
I thought that sounded fucking
I was
hooky.
I'm not certain that the author of the 1985 sci-fi novel Ender's Game is either of the people that I had in my head, but there we go. We figured this out.
Well, you learn something every day, and if you're with Keza, it's a fucking lie. So. In the post point and click era, Tony, were you an Xbox or a PlayStation?
My brother-in-law came to our family home with a PlayStation. I'd never seen anything like it. I think I'd had a big gap. Like I'd had Amiga and played Friends. I had a Master System, but I hadn't really got into games since the Amiga. So that's early 90s. And suddenly this thing arrived and it was all 3D. And he showed me Tomb Raider, I think it was, and Resident Evil. And I think I bought one 2 days later. And that's it. I just didn't stop playing that.
Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Resident Evil.
Because I was a student and then unemployed, so perfect.
What was it about those games that sort of blew your mind?
I think it was like we were saying with Monkey Island, like you'd never seen humour before like that in a game. I think with Resident Evil, I'd never been scared by a computer game before, I don't think.
It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures. Jill, our first priority is to get out of here.
Yes, you're right.
It was like properly terrifying, Resident Evil.
For a lot of people, it was that dogs jumping through the window moment that was...
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But also, and it's not great, the acting, but actual voices is something I hadn't really encountered. That's how far behind the times I was. Like actual...
Those cracked me up.
People talking, as opposed to it sort of being just weird digital music playing all of the time.
It's you, the master of unlocking. They're iconic, those lines. Did you know that
Jill and Wesker?
Did you know that all the dialogue for that game?
Don't come at me with one of your facts.
Was written by...
Yeah, here we go. William Shakespeare. He actually wrote the original script.
It was Haruki Murakami.
The other thing about the Amiga, going back to it, was because it's not Sega or Nintendo, I wasn't playing Sonic or Mario, really. So seeing Tomb Raider and Resident Evil did genuinely blow my mind. I'd been well out of the loop for a while. So it's sort of, I've been playing Zool and things like that, which is not great.
What was Zool? Fill me in. I hear about Zool a lot, but I've never played it.
It was Amiga's attempt to do Sonic with an ant, a ninja ant.
Yeah,
but it was heavily
shiny.
to do with sugar and sweets, and it was sponsored by Chupa Chups lollies. They were all in the game. It was very strange. I think Amiga had a few games that were sort of... They also had a Colin the Quaver game.
I thought you were going to say Colin the Caterpillar there, and I got so excited.
No, sorry.
This lost gem.
In the oldest, there was considered nothing wrong with trying to hawk sweets and fizzy drinks to
wasn't there one called Pepsi Man on the PlayStation?
There was a 7-Up game, I think, with Fido Dido. I don't know.
I'm a Fido Dido man.
Fido Dido. Yeah, there was a 7-Up game. It was just that's fine. There was like a Match 3 game, like a Bejeweled clone, but it was with cigarettes instead. That was Philip Morris. No, of course not, you dickhead. Just testing you back now.
Did you have an N64 as well?
I did. So I was PlayStation all the way to this day, but I had a very powerful love affair with an N64.
You can't be both, Tony. You got to choose. You can't be both.
But it was mostly for the... despite it being so good for like Zelda and Mario, the thing that got me on the N64 was GoldenEye and Mario Kart. And it was the hanging out thing. It was drinking and hanging around with mates playing those.
Yeah. There was a pause before you said drinking, Tony. We all know what you were actually
I was drinking.
Drinking
Drinking through a straw.
That's what everyone does. They drink while they play video games all day and night.
I just played those for hours. Like, my friend Glyn, who was unemployed at the time, basically played GoldenEye 2 hours a day. And I met up with him one day for a drink, and he arrived and his eyes were bloodshot. He couldn't see. And I said, "What have you been doing, Glyn?" And he went, "Oh, I met Baron Samedi today." I went, "What?" And he went, "Yeah, I met Baron Samedi." I went, "You met him?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, no, in GoldenEye." But he sort of morphed into the game where he hadn't left his bed or stopped playing the game for so long. He thought he'd met the made-up character Baron Samedi from James Bond. He'd gone mad.
That does happen,
we
though.
took it quite seriously.
I'm in far too deep with this farming game at the moment, and I was walking around the other day and I saw some really, really nice pot plants, and all I could think was, them chilies need harvesting. They need harvesting. It was all I could do not to get out my scissors and just snip them off. Have you ever had that?
Seriously, after playing, so I had to play Red Dead Redemption 2 for work, so I spent about 8 days playing it 8-10 hours a day, and I legitimately thought I could ride horses. Months later, I was thinking, I can't remember why, I was like, oh yeah, I like riding, I love riding horses, it's really, and then I remembered I'd never actually ridden a horse in real life. It was just in the video game.
I must admit, I'm not an online gamer. I find being abused by 12-year-olds in Texas not to be the most fun thing to happen.
This is it. I went online. My first time I ever went online to play a video game was must have been maybe 2003, just when Xbox Live came out, and I played the game Crimson Skies, which is a dogfighting.
Oh, great game!
Yeah, really good. It was a sort of fly you plane around thing, and they had an online mode where you could go in and dogfight, shoot each other. And I said 3 words into my headset, and immediately it was like, "Oh my god, we've got a girl!" And then they were all so gross and horrible that I switched voice comms off, and I still have never switched them back on again to this day.
I mean, what are you going to talk to these people about anyway? They're all sort of 13-year-old boys.
This is it.
Mostly,
the fact is, there are loads of nice people in online games, but they've all got their voice comms to friends only, because who wants to talk to random strangers while trying to play Call of Duty these days?
I think you're cutting yourself off here, guys. I've had some lovely conversations with 14-year-old Norwegians about death metal in World of Warcraft. While you're punching rats, it's good to have a little chat about music that you've never heard of. It's nice.
The thing that always gets me is, I don't know how it all happened so quickly, but I'll buy, especially in the past, I would buy the game the second it comes out. I'll play it through, go online, and I don't know how everyone else has got so far ahead. With GTA Online, I literally went on it the day it started, and there were people flying and doing all this weird crap, and they had rocket launchers, and I don't know how they've done this, and it just makes it so unenjoyable to me.
So there's this game that's really popular at the moment called Fall Guys, which is kind of like a Keshi's Castle funhouse style physical comedy thing, where there's 100 of you and you have to go through these stupid like running and jumping soft play scenarios basically to get to the end, and you all get progressively eliminated, and at the end there's one jelly bean who wins. And some people have been like putting videos on YouTube about their kind of top winning strats.
It's just it's a knockout. I don't really need a walk through.
People are doing like a 20-minute video of like all the ways to absolutely ensure that you always get through this round and you to get your crown at the end. It's like, you're ruining it. It's supposed to be just, how can you pause? And so there are people who are so terrifyingly good at that game that they take all the fun out of it and make it rubbish for everybody else.
Is there money in that for them? Are there paid competitions for that game?
From Fall Guys. That would be hilarious. That would be such a good esport. I would watch it. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the game is. There's always someone out there who will be so good at it that it will take all the fun out.
Are you quite competitive then, Tony, with the games?
I was more competitive when I was in the room, when it was you sat next to the person you were playing against. Lots of FIFA, lots of GoldenEye, lots of Call of Duty, Tony Hawk's, lots of pick up and play games that you don't get so much of now. I'm thinking of getting Tony Hawk's, the remastered version, just because I think it'd be quite a good game to have between like looking after a baby. Like
it's good. You can
Last of Us.
knock out. You can knock out
like
a 10-minute
a whole
round.
night can be taken just updating The Last of Us. Whereas I think Tony Hawk, I can 5 minutes in and out.
Yeah, practice your Mandarin and then back to the breastfeeding. Yeah, absolutely no problem.
It's funny, all the games that suddenly become incredibly unappealing when you're caring for small kids. I'm obsessed with Dark Souls, which is a very intense dark fantasy game, very hard, and they were my life. I loved those games. And then the third one came out while I was pregnant, and I was like, this is too stressful. Like all the emotions that I used to quite enjoy, like it being really intense and really kind of adrenaline fueled and feeling on the edge all the time, when I was dealing with the actual terrifying experience of raising tiny children, I just found that really unpleasant all of a sudden. It changed my gaming taste quite a lot for a while.
Right, yeah. I suppose I won't enjoy killing those child zombies as much as I used to. Used to be my favourite.
Well, it's like how you suddenly can't watch films where children are in peril in any way. You're like, nope, Goonies, nope, sorry.
Unless you've got a
right,
really,
right.
really bad day with them, then it's sort of restorative.
I loved the Souls games. I remember, didn't Peter Serafinowicz, I think he loved them so much that he basically just ended up being in them. I think he does half the voices.
He did the voices in Dark Souls too, because he was just so very into Dark Souls.
As an actor, Tony, if there was any game you could be in, what game would you pick?
I'd like to be in Grand Theft Auto, actually, not as a playable necessarily, but as someone that turns up. I remember when Ricky Gervais turned up in
the comedy club, yeah.
I quite like the idea of being a cameo in a computer game, not necessarily a lead character. I know quite a few people that have done them, and they sound fun. Our good friend James Bartman was in... what was the name of the Assassins that was set at sea? Was it Black... I'm obsessed with
Black
pirates
Flag.
today. It was Black Flag.
The best pirate game ever made, Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah. He
Wander
played
around...
a character in that, which was very like him, sort of cowardly posh man, which is James all over. But I was quite jealous of that. That looked like good fun to do. Okay. Also, he was funny in it, which... Assassins, there's not normally much humour involved in those. They're normally quite po-faced, aren't they?
Yeah, they can certainly be.
I used to find those scenes unintentionally hilarious. The ones with Danny Wallace, and he's very funny, but the bits where you had to believe it's like you wake up and you're in this cyber hospital ward or something.
Oh, the Animus bits. Everyone hates those bits.
Oh, terrible. But quite funny, even though that's not what they meant. I don't think.
they didn't mean it. Lots of video games are unintentionally funny.
I don't know why they didn't just give up on that bit of those games.
There must be someone high up at that company who's like, no, we're going to keep doing the boring bit that nobody likes, where you wake up in a computer and you have to go around the real world for a bit instead of fun freaking ancient Greece, because that's what you obviously want to do. You want to walk around an office building and not have a great time being a pirate on the sea. Clearly.
The last one I played, you've just like killed this terrible ruler of a village in Egypt, and then you wake up and you go to the staff canteen. What the fuck? What was the game? That was Heavy Rain. And I didn't really get on with it, but I remember Ian Lee saying that he doesn't like shaving in real life, and why the hell would he want to do it in a computer game? And that was literally the game. The first 10 minutes of a game he's having to shave.
Go and have a shower.
It's the most
get some
boring
orange
thing
juice.
to do in the world.
The most fun thing to do in the first scene of Heavy Rain is you take the chap up to the fridge and you open the door and you get the orange juice out, and then I have this contextual control where you had to like move the control stick very slowly. So you just move it just until it gets to his lips, then put it down again. Move it, then just put it down again. Do that for 10 minutes. I like to imagine how the character would be feeling not being allowed their orange juice for all that time. You've got to find your fun where you can.
The way that you control that game control system worked, that was basically the whole game for me. Well, I say the whole game, the 2 hours I played it for and then threw it in the bin. I struggled with that game. I could watch a film. We'll watch a film or I'll play a computer game. The sort of meshing of the two like that, it wasn't done Anyway.
Yeah, there was a time when a lot of games were trying to be films, and now it's the other way around. Films are trying to be games. Whenever I watch an action movie, I'm like, this is just a video game now.
I think I might be one of the few people that's slavishly watching all of the Walking Dead franchises. They are literally just computer games now, especially Fear the Walking Dead. It's set up. They're doing missions every week. That goes back to sort of old telly, sort of A-team, sort of mission-y based TV shows, but they are. You can tell that they've got an eye on making a computer game down the line. It feeds into each other. Every game you get, there's especially the Rockstar games, there's always old films in them. Like, if you know your old crime movies,
huge
you can
cinephiles,
spot a mile off. But
they always put in loads of references.
It's coming full circle that the films are borrowing from them now as well.
Yeah, I think it's just that the generation of people who are writing now for TV, they grew up with games. So, like, the references kind of make their way into TV and film now in the way that they did the other way round when in the 90s and 2000s.
No, as you say, it's full circle, because famously, of course, Citizen Kane was based on Ocarina of Time, wasn't it? That's
equal cultural value, definitely.
Favourite Zelda game.
Not even kidding.
So how old is your baby now?
7 months.
7 months.
Today.
Oh, congrats. Those month anniversaries are very important. First time around.
Yes, yeah. Well, one day you won't care. If you have a second one, you'll just be like, how old is he? 2, 3? I don't know. So still a little bit young for gaming, but, do you want your daughter to be a gamer? Are you going to be like, you're going to take her through the history of games, make her play Zool and all of this stuff?
I would never make anyone play Zool, no matter what age they are.
It's a cruel, unusual punishment, that's true.
She's got her eye on my phone, and you go, why is she obsessed with it? You go, it's because, of course, I look at it all of the time. You can't ever guess, because there's going to be something so mind-blowing and beyond what we know about games now that I'm sure she'll be into that. I don't know. I wouldn't make her play Zool, though. Monkey Island, though, I'd make her play that. I think it's educational, Monkey Island.
Family Mario Kart?
Definitely Mario Kart. And there was a little game when the Wii came out that was little tanks on a tabletop. We could all play that. That's a good family game. I can never remember the name of it, but I always highly recommended that game to everyone.
Oh, was it Tanks?
It might have been Tanks.
There was...
What a great name.
There was a Tanks game for the Wii that was just called...
Tank! Sure it wasn't fish tanks. It was definitely tanks. Because that could be confusing.
Pretty sure.
At least so you can judge a person. What's your Mario Kart vehicle of choice? Who's your preferred driver?
The turtle. What's he called?
Koopa?
Yoshi.
Or Yoshi. Wait, Yoshi's a dinosaur,
Yoshi.
Koopa's a turtle.
No,
Sorry?
Yoshi, listen, you'll
Yoshi
get sued.
is a dinosaur.
No, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say... I once got rung up by Nintendo because I wrote an article in which I referred to Yoshi being a dinosaur, and they said, no, you can't do that. He's not a dinosaur.
He's legitimately a dinosaur.
I said, what is he then if he's not a dinosaur? And they said to me, he's a Yoshi.
Right.
As if that's sort of...
It's like Yoshi's Lady Gaga, and he's got like a really sensitive publicist.
That's right, yeah.
Calls up all the journalists.
They were like, can you correct your article, please? And I was like, sure, and I put the phone down. I was like...
Sorry, but Yoshi is definitely a dinosaur.
Don't talk to
I
me,
thought he
mate.
was a turtle.
Well, the turtles are the Koopas, aren't they, with their shells? Yoshi's not got a shell, has he?
Does he not? I used to like Wario. Pretty
One
good.
of the great
I used to like
villains
the way
of our time.
how tall his knees were in the cart.
Toad is the best character, though. Toad had his best acceleration versus weight balance, I think you find.
Right,
and he's not a fucking toad either, is he? What is he?
I've got a very important question.
All right.
Toad, his head. Is that a hat, or is that actually his head?
It's a hat. You've seen it taken off.
Toad is short for toadstool, you morons.
So is the head his head or a hat? Is it's
like a mush. It's like a top of a mushroom, isn't it?
So he's a sentient mushroom,
though, right?
You think it's his head?
Yeah.
I've definitely seen that hat off.
You never have you?
Yeah, I've
actually
seen it off.
in the Mario games,
which makes me think like he's basing his whole name, if it is Toadstool, around a hat he owns. That's weird, isn't it?
Right. Okay. If it's a hat, then how come every single Toad in the Mario universe has to wear the same hat?
I don't know, but I couldn't possibly answer. All I know is it's a hat.
And if it's his head, Ellie, what's its texture?
Listen, I don't know how else to explain this to you people. Toadstool, mushroom.
Is it bone under there? Like if you tapped the head, would it be hollow? It's his brain in...
Seriously, I don't know how else to explain this to you, Keza. Imagine a mushroom. Is the top of the mushroom a hat? No. Does it have a different texture to the body of the mushroom? Slightly, because it's a different part of the mushroom, but it's still this part of the same being, isn't it? Yeah?
Where's its brain?
It's definitely a hat. I'm telling you, I've seen that hat off.
How do you even know that, Tony?
I've seen a picture of Toad with his hat off. I'm telling you.
That
and
was-
he's
that
just
was
got a non-mushroom head.
That was-
There's not a
yeah.
mushroom head under the mushroom hat.
So that picture, that screenshot you will have seen, is from a 1980s Mario cartoon and is therefore not considered canon.
That's not canon, mate. That's what I'm saying to you.
Right,
It's not
fair
canon.
enough.
This is the debate that's been raging in the mushroom. I personally think it's a hat. I don't care what anyone says. I think it's a hat.
I mean, who made that cartoon if it wasn't someone that knew more about Nintendo than me? I'm going with what they've decided.
Isn't it called the Mushroom Kingdom?
It is, okay, so it's called
It's called the Mushroom Kingdom!
But no one...
Oh,
but
no,
Peach, wait, hang
don't
on,
get me
Peach.
wrong. He's doubled down on his hat looking like a big mushroom. But the hat came before the mushroom.
All right, listen. Let's say you're right. You absolute morons. Let's say it is a hat, and it's not that he's a mushroom. Why then, genii? Why is he called Toad?
Because it's a style choice. He's that guy that's
No,
like
so this
gone
bit why he's
to
called Toad. Why isn't he
university and
called-
gone, right, everyone, I'm going to get everyone to call me Toad because it's Toadful because of my cool hat that I've brought. And then he's convinced everyone that he's like this toadstool guy.
So he's like one of those people that gets like a slight dye job in university and then stays with that exact same hair forever.
Yeah, he's Starburns from Community.
Yeah, gotcha.
Basically.
That's it.
He's known for his look.
I can't argue.
I'm really
But the
glad
look
to...
is manufactured. It's not natural.
I'm really, really glad to have brought this debate to this podcast.
Yeah, the point is he's got the best cart in Mario Kart. I'll fight anyone who says otherwise.
That's true.
And
he
he's
has.
a fucking mushroom. The end. Next question, Keza.
All right, I think it's time for our new special guest. Let's make this quick, shall we, Ellie?
Yeah, I'll go.
Do you
I'll
wanna
go.
go?
I need a
On
breather
you go.
anyway. It's
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, after that really intense
Yeah.
headers versus hatters debate, I feel like a little breather would be good for all of us. Hey, come in. Hey, so thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
Who's this?
Hello there. Hi, Tony. It's me, Susan Electronic Arts. Double barreled name.
I thought you were Tommy Vance for a second, but no, it's hello, Susan.
I'm the top video games executive, Susan Electronic Arts.
Ms. Electronic Arts, I'm so honoured. We wanted to invite Tony to pitch his dream game to you. Do you think you can make time?
That's right. Tony, we've only done 21 FIFAs and they're just not making us enough money. Do you have a game you would like to pitch to us at Electronic Arts?
Yes, you need to move out of the sports arena. It's
Okay.
one word. Minder.
I
Minder
like
the
it.
computer game.
Tell me more.
All right, crime has been done in computer games, you think, but what about low-level spiv crime? You play Terry, Minder to Arthur Daly. Basically, you just have to stop him being killed for most of the game and do some dodgy deals on the side. It's Grand Theft Auto, but instead of machine guns and murdering prostitutes, it's selling cars, pulling pints in the Winchester, and basically looking after Arthur Daly's interests. Just feeling a little bit annoyed by him in general. It's a game I want to play.
I like the sound of it, Tony. It sounds like a great lark. However, I don't know if we can afford Dennis Waterman. He's probably out of outlets. Perhaps we could use someone else we've already got in the books in the starring role. Let me have a little flick through my contacts. Ronaldo. How about that? Because we've already got him in anyway for the football games.
He'd do a better job than Shane Ritchie did in the Minder remake. So, yeah, fine. Absolutely fine.
Brilliant! Sold!
Oh, great. Well done, Tony. You've just signed up. How much money are you going to give him, Susan?
What do you reckon? How much would it cost to make Minder the game with Ronaldo?
I think Ronaldo's taking the chunk of the money here. I'll do it for 10 grand.
Call it 8 and it's yours.
Great,
Fine.
just sell a few
Fine,
FIFA Ultimate
as long
Team
as I
packs.
get first play of it.
There we go. Right. Got to get back to Guildford now, if you'll excuse me. Thanks
cheers.
very much for having us.
Thanks, Ms. Electronic Arts. It's just such an honour as ever.
It's in the game!
Yeah, oh, great. It's also just such an inspiration to see a woman and being so successful in the video game world, Susan.
No problem. Always holding the door open for you,
That's it.
Keza.
Oh, thanks so much. Brilliant.
Yeah, no problem.
You're blazing a trail. All right, excellent.
All right, was that sort of Susan Electronic
Yeah, do you know
Arts
what?
way
She
up?
did ask after you. It's been a while since she's seen.
Does she think double-barreled name? She's not actually as posh as
No,
you think,
it
is she?
turns out. No.
Yeah.
Funny that. Great.
Hello, Joel, the producer here, just dropping in with a quick fact check and to tell Tony the good news that dreams can come true. There was a computer game based on the 1980s television programme Minder. It was programmed by Don Priestley for the ZX Spectrum, and I played it for most of my teenage. I think it's one of my favourite computer games of all time. It was quite simple. You just traded with lots of dodgy dealers. It's a good game. You can play it online. There are lots of emulators, but the only warning for anyone who does go looking for the Minder computer game is that the theme music sounds like this.
I feel like we've got sort of the measure of you and your gaming style, Tony, but we'd like to finish by judging you via the medium of a quickfire round.
Go for it.
You're into it. Okay, first of all, question number 1. Sonic or Mario?
Mario. Oh, yeah, Mario.
Oh, it sounds like there's some debate there. Why have you gone for Mario there?
No, Mario is Mario.
That's good.
Sonic was 2 good games. Mario's dozens. Mario.
Ooh.
Oh, that is completely the correct answer. Congratulations.
Really slowing down this quickfire round.
We have a lot of people who just give the wrong answer to that one, so it's good. It's good to know you're on it. Resident Evil or Days Gone?
Resident Evil overall. Days Gone was brilliant though. I did really enjoy it.
Warrior or Wizard?
See, look, this is where my indecision comes in. I always play a sort of magic-y warrior, like a sort of pyromancer, something like that. But I would probably go warrior, but with a bit of magic.
But let's all be honest, you go pirate given the choice.
Pirate, definitely, yeah. I need to get my tricorn hat out. I'm really in the mood.
Link or Lara?
Link.
Also correct. Sniper or shotgun?
Sniper.
Oh, we got a sneaky sniper finally.
Yeah.
Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat.
There we go.
I mean, similar to GoldenEye, lot of 2-player Mortal Kombat 2.
With the old drinking, yeah. Well, thank you very much, Tony, for sharing your life in games with us.
You are so very welcome. Can I just some notable mentions just quickly at the end?
Go for it.
Deluxe Paint, Elvira, Lemmings, and Utopia on the Amiga 500. They were games that saw me through my childhood.
Some contemporary recommendations there from Tony Way.
Games that make you the man.
Emulator.
So when we end the show, our producers decided that we had to say game over, which obviously we don't want to do because it's lame. So we're getting the guests to say it, Tony. Do you think you could give us, in the style of your choosing, a game over?
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think what game this is from, but there's a very particular one from the 80s that goes... Game over.
Very good.
I think that's about 90% of all games in the 80s.
I think you've really managed to get across the compressed nature of the audio file that it always was as well. It's really good.
Thanks very much, Tony, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been Extra Life. If you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Extra Life Pod.
Extra Life with Ellie Gibson and Keza Macdonald. Produced by Joel Moss. Assistant producer Alex Hart. Music by Wayne Shepard. Extra Life is a Great Big Owl production.
We've had some complaints from the various video game executives featured on this show, and we'd like to just make absolutely clear that Ellie's voices do not represent the actual views of any of the corporations mentioned.
Spoil sport.